name is Phil Downs, and I'm the Superintendent of Southwest Allen County Schools. Thank you for your interest in how our budgets work. As you watch this film, some of the slides will have a lot of writing. Please feel free to pause the video and read the slides as you watch. Public schools in Indiana are funded by two sources. The state legislature assigns a student funding formula for our general fund, and the remainder of our funds are supported by local property taxes. Indiana public school general funds are funded by the state legislature based on a formula that takes the number of students in a district and gives consideration for the amount of low-income students to produce a per-student distribution. In Indiana, Southwest Allen County Schools is in the bottom 2% of all public and charter schools in this funding. The remainder of the funds in Indiana public schools are generated locally through property taxes. In 2010, voters in Indiana passed a referendum that placed caps on property taxes. Those caps have resulted in fewer dollars for schools to use in these funds. Budgets in Indiana public schools are arranged into 7 different silos: the general fund, which is funded in Indianapolis, and then the local property tax funds of the referendum, debt service fund, pension debt fund, transportation fund, capital projects fund, and bus replacement fund. The reason there are so many funds is for transparency to taxpayers. Each fund serves a purpose for the district, and the money raised goes to that purpose. SACS is not allowed to shift funds from one account to the other and is audited every other year. As previously stated, the general fund comes from the state legislature's formula and basically funds the general operation of the school district. Most of our basic grant dollars from the state come to us on the basis of our ADM, which is the official student count we have in September. The final small amount of the general fund is made up of categorical funds for specific programs such as special education and vocation ed. The per student dollar amount that we get from the state is then adjusted for what the state calls complexity, which is a formula based on the number of free and reduced lunch students we have. This chart allows us to compare per student funding with the Consumer Price Index over the last 11 years. It also shows our student enrollment and student-teacher ratios. The top line on the graph is the Consumer Price Index, and as it has gone up, you will see the bottom line, which represents our student funding, has gone down. This gap has been bridged by the referendum. The lines in the middle show the correlation between student enrollment and teachers in the system. Here is a pie chart that reflects how our general fund is budgeted. Please note that the overwhelming majority of our general fund is tied up in people. This slide provides some context as to Southwest Allen County Schools' general fund per student funding compared to other notable districts. In order to offset this lower funding from the state, the taxpayers of Aboit and Lafayette Townships have generously supported referenda in the past. Southwest Allen County Schools has had 3 such referenda and used the money to appropriately staff and lower class sizes in all of its schools. It's important to note that the referendum fund is the only property tax fund that is not capped, due to the fact that the local taxpayers make a decision to add the tax. The current Southwest Allen County Schools referendum runs out in 2016. This slide represents the positions advertised when Southwest Allen County Schools had their last referendum election. These positions have been maintained with fidelity throughout the course of that referendum. This slide shows the impact of the referendum on our per student funding compared to other districts. It's interesting to note that even with the referendum, Southwest is still a good distance away from the state average and would need to almost double the size of the referendum just to get to that average. The debt service fund of a public school corporation is used to pay off any long-term debt the corporation has incurred. Since 2002, Indiana public school districts have been mandated to eliminate any unfunded pension liability. Southwest Allen County Schools will be done with this in 2017. Here is a slide showing the debt payments that Southwest Allen County Schools will be making over the next few years. Please note that the last long-term debt is slated to be paid off in 2019. The Capital Projects Fund is used to keep the appearance of the school up and maintain the integrity of its buildings and its technology. This fund has seen a fairly significant circuit breaker loss in Southwest Allen County Schools. The Transportation Fund is used to fund the Transportation Department. The Bus Replacement Fund is used to specifically fund the purchase of buses. Since 2009, the replacement cycle for buses has moved from 10 to 12 years. The additional 2 years has caused an increase in the maintenance portion of our transportation fund. In order to offset the impact of the caps on the transportation and bus replacement funds, Southwest Allen County Schools has increased the number of no transportation zones within our district in a safe and fair manner, and currently charges a transportation fee on many extracurricular activities. So here is a pie graph of the entire Southwest Allen County Schools budget. Please note that well over half of it comes from the state in our general fund. The remainder of the funds to the left of the divide are the tax-supported funds, of which the referendum is one. As you can see, the tax rate for Southwest Allen County Schools taxpayers has been remarkably consistent, with many of the funds actually lower than they were 6 years ago. So we have 3 key takeaways. First, the funding sources. Our budget is based around 2 sources of funding primarily, state-funded and locally funded. Our state funding is one of the lowest in the state, and this is why we have passed a referendum. The second takeaway is that some of our property tax funds have been impacted by the tax caps. This impacts the services SACS can offer. Currently, SACS is looking for creative solutions to work around this problem. The final takeaway is that money cannot be shared between the silos. It is absolutely important that Southwest Allen County Schools is intentional and transparent with every tax dollar we get. Thank you for your interest in the Southwest Allen County Schools budget. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to contact me at the email address provided.